Well, welcome back to my channel. My name is Eric Martel. I'm an entrepreneurial real estate investor. I've done over $85 million in real estate transaction, and today we're going to talk about the mindset that made me a successful entrepreneur, investor, self-made multimillionaire. And today I'm speaking with carb-free Soma. And
carb-free. Just trying to be healthy.
She might dwindle.
I ate some carbs for lunch. I did. I had some rice, just gluten-free carbs.
That's right, exactly. Very good.
I'm not a self-made multimillionaire, but I'm hoping to learn a little bit. And I think that you guys will too in this video. So we're going to brainstorm, and I'm going to just kind of like pick your brain as to what do you think the different facets were that eventually got you to today and where you are today and your success. And then as well as maybe we'll solidify what the most important ones are, narrow it down to the top 3 so you guys can implement that in your life.
That's correct.
Let's get into it.
My number 1 for me is resilience.
You already know that's number 1?
I think so.
It's already decided?
I think so. But it's one of the top 1 for me. And the reason resilience is, the ability to push through when everybody is telling you no, 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 no. I
got to say that is a pretty good one.
It's
almost like nothing else would matter. You could be stupid even though you're not. You could be, even if you have all these false ideas about your identity, if you're resilient, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So I think this and you can have all the information in the world, and know that you have the right formula, the right amount of money, everything the right strategy.
Could be working out in your favor.
Absolutely. But then if you're not willing to push through when people are saying, oh, why are you investing there? Like,
or
why are you investing
you're crazy.
In Detroit? Why are you investing in Detroit? It's crazy.
Yeah.
They have a high crime rate. And then these are coming from people from LA. So I feel safer in Detroit, tell you.
Detroit does feel pretty safe. I walked alone at night and I felt totally fine.
So I think that's number 1.
Resilience.
So I think resilience.
Yeah, you could have the perfect recipe, but then if you encounter one obstacle and you don't have the resilience to keep going, it doesn't matter. We see that a lot, actually, with a lot of people who are born into money or born into very fortunate situations. They don't have resiliency because they got a lot of things handed to them, and they have the perfect recipe for success, but sometimes they just don't have that one missing piece.
And the people that are not there, that grew up poor and stuff like that.
That had a lot of obstacles, but
like
they
I'm
have
looking
resilience.
I'm looking at my family, for example. I mean, my mother and father, they were basically telling me, oh, I wanted to do business. I want to do that. Oh, no, just like, he can't do business. But this guy did the great thing. He started with a food truck. Then he built a restaurant chain, all that kind of stuff. He said, oh, he's a crook. Like, he was obviously a crook for him to be able to make money.
Oh, like they thought like money is evil and success is
exactly,
evil almost.
Exactly. Yeah,
like they must have had to be a bad person to have achieved that.
Exactly.
I remember you saying something interesting that when you first invested in real estate, you were 18, right?
Yeah.
You bought an apartment building at 18, and your parents rewarded your behavior by
cutting me off. They said, if you have enough money to invest in real estate, then you don't need our money. So they cut me off.
But little did they know, how did you get that property?
Well,
it wasn't your money.
No, I know, but it's just perception, what people think.
But I think that goes to show you that was probably one of your first bigger obstacles, where like your own family is kind of impeding on your journey or not wanting to support you, but then you had the resiliency to keep going and following that path.
That's right. There's a whole herd mentality,
which is normal, though. Yeah. It's instinctual for us to want to stay part of the herd for protection. But what has evolved is that there's other herds out there that we can join.
Exactly. And if you're heard of the W2 of people that are like, they don't want to invest and stuff like that, then they want to pull you in. Because
they want to keep you safe. They think that they're keeping you safe,
because they're keeping their own mindset safe. Because they say, well,
they don't want you to disprove
they don't want
their
exactly.
mindset.
Exactly. So that's pretty interesting to see. And that's why it's important to join other types of community for things that you want to do. And this is why, And Flip System, obviously, we have a community as well. And these are people that are like-minded. Right. They want to invest in real estate in the same kind of strategy that we want to use. So
having a community makes a lot of sense. Very important.
Yeah, because you have a lot of people that are going to say,
crazy. It'll give you the resiliency to leave your older community if you've outgrown it.
Yeah.
So then that actually brings up a bigger question. How much does your environment affect you, and how much do you affect your environment? What's kind of like your position on, I guess, kind of nature versus nurture?
Your environment affects you a lot, definitely. And then this is why every once in a while, like when I was very young, I mean, I had some clues that my parents didn't have a full deck. They didn't have all the information about investing. And I was pointing out, like look at this guy, like how he grew his business. Look at this person, all that kind of stuff. And for them, it was just like, oh yeah, he must be doing something. He must be a crook. He's a criminal or whatever. Yeah. And he's doing something illegal, and he's gonna go to jail or whatever.
Crazy.
But then I knew there was something missing. And then I talked to teachers and all that kind of stuff. But up until I went to university, when I met my first mentor and bought the apartment building, that's when I saw, oh wow, this is like.
There's other beliefs.
This guy is no smarter than my parents. He just has more information than my parents, and he's investing in real estate. And this is why it was so important for me to do that deal, because it was really about my mindset, how it changed how I behave, how I knew what I could do.
And so, do you think in that scenario where like college really opened up your mind, do you think you led yourself?
I wouldn't say college opened up my mind. I think the mentor opened up.
Sure. Okay. Well, you met someone great in college.
Yes, that's right.
Your mentor. Like you were exposed to more of the world.
Yeah.
Do you think you subconsciously sought that out for yourself because you knew something bigger, or do you think that college was the catalyst of opening your mind?
Oh, no.
Which one came first?
I'm sorry to say, college is not a mind opener. It's a mind closer. Right? I mean, it's true though. You're there, you learn things to come up to one answer.
Yeah.
And when you're in business, you don't want to come to an answer. You have a broad array of options, and you want to kind of like filter through and progress through and evolve it into something. But all of these answers are correct. You just have to pick the right one for that, maybe that strategy or whatever.
Yeah, or the moment or the situation.
Exactly.
That makes sense. And so you feel like your mind changed first, and then you changed your environment to suit what you needed, which was you ended up finding the right mentor, and you ended up like kind of feeling attracted to his mindset.
I found the mentor first.
Oh, so, you found the mentor first, and then
I was just introduced and stuff like that. And he was a real estate investor, and I was just like, wow, you did that. And then I learned more about his story and all that. And that's when I said, okay, you're it.
It rang a bell for you.
Oh yeah, I knew I had the opportunity. Yeah. To me, I call that my rich dad, poor dad moment.
Yeah, you're like the light bulb kind of turning
on, right?
I
said, I want to follow this guy. I want to grab as much information.
So then that sounds like for you, it was almost like environment completely trumped your own mindset even, because as soon as you were in the environment of this mentor, it was like everything clicked.
Well, you have to be open-minded, right? Because there's a lot of people that they're still kind of like barricaded or boxed into.
They're in the right environment, but it's still not penetrating.
Right, and then you go and talk, talk to someone that has a solution and stuff. We have that all the time. People that are talking to us and stuff like that, and
wanting mentorship and advice from you.
This is a scam and stuff like that. I said, well, no, it's not a scam. I mean, we have like 500 people that are investing this way and following our process and our system. And it's just like, but for them, the only way they can process that kind of information that is so out of line with what they have been told, that the only way they can label this is a scam. It's the same way that my parents saw it.
Your parents saw it was a scam.
They saw it and said, oh, this guy's is very successful.
Yeah.
Oh, it must be a scam. It must be illegal. It must be cheating and stuff like that. It's hard to beat, but you can tell these are the people that they don't have an open mind. They're not ready to accept that there are other
So which one would you value over the other? Environment or the open mind?
Well, the open mind.
The open mind?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, we've got
you want to fight the environment, because most of the environment is against you.
It doesn't matter what environment you're in then. Your mind is straight and receptive to other opportunities. You'll find it. Yeah. Okay, so we've got resiliency, open mind, environment, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, community.
Yeah.
What else do you feel like contributed to your success, or perhaps even helped you get through certain obstacles? Because you are an entrepreneur, you're an investor, and not every single idea or pursuit you've had has been successful, but you had to find the one that was.
Yeah.
So what got you through those moments?
Well, I think it's taking action. You can think about it all you want. If you don't take action.
How did you get out? How did you not let analysis paralysis get
you? This is very interesting. I mean, to me, it was that, to talk about environment, I was very lucky. A lot of people said yes to me from a very early age. not my parents, but everybody else. I remember, like, I was in 4th grade. I had read the book Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah.
So I went to the teacher and I said, hey, I would like to make a play with this book.
Wow.
And then the teacher was like, what? It's like, yeah, I like this book. I want to make a play.
Yeah.
And she was flabbergasted. And she said, okay, let's do it. And then we put the cast together, and when we played. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
That was 4th grade.
You had that early encouragement.
Yeah. I went, and then same school, 6th grade. They had a storage area full of books. I love books. And then I said, hey, maybe I can clean that up, and we would be exploring kind of like all the books that are in there, old books, old teaching manuals and stuff like that. And I went to the principal of the school, and I said, hey, I noticed you have like a messy room over there with all the books that your storage, it's all messed up. He said, do you mind if, I help and I clean up the room? And the guy was like,
again, shocked, again, flabbergasted.
Okay. But, there was, yes, in high school, the same thing. In high school, like, because I was already now in the habit, and then my high school was phenomenal. My teachers were phenomenal. It was yes after yes. I mean,
wow.
It was.
So you had a lot of people of authority and adults in your life early on who encouraged your ideas.
Yeah.
And that helped you believe in yourself more.
Yeah, I mean,
because it meant that if you came with an idea that was out of the box, you felt like it would be accepted.
Yeah, exactly.
How can adults who didn't go through that put
Yeah.
themselves in positions where they can have that kind of experience and confirmation of their own ideas?
Yeah, I know not everybody has been as lucky as I have, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, we live in an environment, everybody lives in different environments. Some of them are not as supportive, obviously. I mean, I think that's the majority, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's not supportive. But again, that's where you want to be resilient. You want to bargain with these situations. Okay, well, I can't do it, or maybe there's something smaller that I can do, and then build trust and all that kind of stuff.
Build off of that.
Yeah,
I think finding a way to get reaffirming the fact that your ideas are good is by, one, validating your own ideas first, even if other people reject them, knowing that they reject them not because it's not a good idea, but it might be an inconvenience to them or scare them, and it's not anything to do with you. And then finding, little ways or smaller ways to prove to yourself and to start building that confidence.
Yeah, I mean, everybody could have said, the teacher could have said, no, I can't do the play because, I have to do my job and I don't know how to do that. The principal of that school could have said, no, I'm scared of liability. What if a bookshelf falls on you and we sue you and you sue us or whatever?
Yeah.
You can always say no. And once you find people that are open to your ideas and are supportive and stuff like that, just, grab onto them and push it a little bit. And that's what happened in high school. I mean, I started with one teacher that was really supportive, and then, then we did some good things together. And then he talked to other teachers that say, oh, yeah, look at what they've done. And then all of a sudden you have a reputation.
Passing around.
Say, hey, this guy can be trusted. This guy is a starter.
Like your teacher ended up giving you like a key to the classroom to go run experiments?
Yes.
He trusted you?
My high school was just, this could be a whole show on high school.
A whole other episode on your high school experience.
Oh, yeah. We wanted to do some chemistry experiments. That we had got a book about advanced chemistry, and we could do chemistry experiment. And so we asked the chemistry teacher and say, hey, can we use the lab during the lunch and stuff like that? And it said, yes, but you're going to have to be supervised because this very dangerous chemicals and stuff like that. Yeah. And I said, yes, sir. And then we went there. He supervised us like 3 or 4 lunch periods. And then he got like, okay, I think you guys know what you're doing. Here's the key. And then I have better things to do. And so he left us there.
So then, you know what? I think that's not actually the teacher. That's more you then.
Well, you have to ask, right?
You have to vocalize it. Yes, you need to ask. But then you also need to accept that you have to prove yourself a little bit too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I was told no. They stop at the first no. Or they don't even ask, like you're saying. Yeah. But then they also don't realize, well, let me build trust. Yeah. Let me show them that I'm capable. Let me show them in another way that I'm worthy of that. And I think that's the mistake a lot of people make is they just take the first no as the answer instead of realizing maybe there's an underlying reason why they said no. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also people ask themselves the wrong questions sometimes. So this is probably another thing about the mindset is often they ask for I want this instead of how can I do this? How can I have
How is always a powerful way of framing a question because instead of can I, that gives a yes or no answer. How can I makes it open-ended. Oh, well, you could, I guess, if you did X, Y, Z. I learned that at a young age because I realized that yes or no was too easy for people to jump to a conclusion.
Yeah.
And so in my emails, when I would ask for things or ask for opportunities, it was never can I, may I, will you. It was always how can I.
Yeah.
And if I asked how, I usually ended up getting a bit of a laundry list, even if it wasn't practical in their eyes. They're like, oh, she'd never want to do this. Or, you know, they think by saying no, they're saving you the trouble of getting a yes. Yeah. Not realizing that maybe I'm up for the challenge. Maybe I will do that laundry list of things.
Yeah, exactly.
So you never know until you ask how.
Yeah, and how kind of gives you a roadmap. And say, oh, I want to have this. You're telling me how. That I have to do these 10 steps.
Yeah,
to make it happen.
Yeah,
and that's what happened with these teachers too. It's like I make it sound like, well, earlier on it was yes or no. But later on in high school, it was definitely, okay, you want to do this, but okay, what experiments are you planning to do? Like, show me the labs, why you want to do this. Like, why is that something that interests you? So we did have to talk to the teacher and propose the idea and convince them and say, hey, you know, this is what we want to do. And, you know, you have someone that is very responsive and open to helping other. Because you have to sacrifice a couple of lunch periods for us to do that.
That's true. And you have to make it worth his while, too, and make him see the value in it. Maybe that's another point, then, is figuring out how to create win-win situations when you need somebody's help. It's not just figuring out how it's going to benefit you, but how can it benefit both of you? Because then you're going to have an easier time getting people to help you if you can figure out like a mutually beneficial situation. Okay, so would you put that under resilience or would you put that under a different category?
Well, taking action is critical, right?
Taking action, asking questions, vocalizing
asking
yourself.
How.
Yeah.
You know, and all that. So I think, and the resilience would come, that you have to do that before you, because the resilience is going to come when people say no. But
so asking questions and vocalizing and taking action is probably number one then?
Yes.
Because you need to take action to get rejection.
Yeah, I think you have to have all these things.
All of them concurrently.
I don't think you can't really have one over the other, because resilience too, you can't.
They play different parts at different moments.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got 4 so far. What would be number 5?
So we talked about taking action, all of that.
Taking action, your environment, keeping an open mind, and resilience is what we have so far.
I think there is also adaptability. I think this is another big one. And then conquering your fears. It's scary to take action. It's scary to do something that's outside the herd, that's different than what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to fail where everybody else is failing, because you say, everybody else is failing. And
you know what I find interesting is most people aren't scared of failing. Most people are scared of failing publicly.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. It's almost like when we fail in public or we do something silly in public, it's so much more embarrassing than if I were to do it in private alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I make a mistake by myself, I'm kind of like,
Give us an example of that.
Well, like, let's say I think something that I do a lot that I'm pretty lenient with myself is my driving. Oh. You know, I make mistakes when I'm driving, and
Well, this is like therapy.
I'm quite lenient with myself because I'm alone. But as soon as other people are in the car, I'm white knuckling the steering wheel, and I'm so stressed out because I know they're all going to be judging my driving and call me a bad driver, but I'm not. I'm just the silly one.
I don't know.
You've never been in the car while I was driving.
I heard rumors.
You've heard rumors.
It's pretty scary.
Actually, when I was coming here, the only thing that Antoine, my boyfriend, his son, said in the morning was, "Please drive safe." And he was still at his mouth guard, and he was just half awake. He's like, "Please, just drive safe. I'm tracking you." And that was his last parting words this morning.
He cares a lot about you.
Or just my driving. But that's, I think, a clear example of, like, when people aren't there, I'm not tense. I drive well. Maybe I make a mistake, but I'm not, like, killing myself over it. But when other people are there, all of a sudden it's, like, a lot of stress. So learning to fail publicly and not letting that affect your performance, not letting that affect you. And that comes down to, I think, not valuing other people's opinions over your own.
But I think there are people that are just general fear. They don't want to take action because they're afraid. They're afraid to lose money. Obviously, some people, it's the humiliation is also something that's very So for me, like when I bought the first apartment building, I had no fear because I was young. When I bought the house in Memphis, the first house we bought in Memphis, and I was afraid I would lose my $500 earnest money deposit.
I'm like $500,000 is a lot to be scared to lose. $500.
I was afraid to lose $500. Okay, so that's kind of like I was keeping track of the dates for the when is the due diligence over? When do I have to do this?
That's stressful. Yeah. And it's $500.
$500.
Yeah.
But I was stressed by that.
Do you think that was like you being scared of something bigger, or was it you just having trouble letting go or trusting yourself and taking a chance?
Yeah, I think it was just obviously, of course, not necessarily the 500. I think it was the whole combination of the deal not working, disappointing the realtor, all that kind of stuff.
Disappointment, that's a really big one. We don't like disappointing people around us or even disappointing ourselves in our own expectations. But I think accepting disappointment and kind of preparing for the worst outcome and accepting it can give you a lot of fearlessness and a lot of bravery.
Yeah.
It's almost like when, this is a little bit more meta, but like when you accept death and you don't fear death anymore, you don't let death stop you, and you can be more courageous.
Death will
with
stop
your driving.
Oh, you're talking about driving stuff? Oh, yeah. No,
I don't fear death.
Be very, very scared.
No, but I mean, like when I was younger, I really didn't fear death the way some of my peers did, and
the way some of my passengers did.
For good reason. Rest in peace. No, I've never killed anybody. Oh my God, this is a joke. But I would be very adventurous. I would go cliff jumping. I would do all kinds of extreme sports and like put myself out there. I wasn't scared of getting hurt. I wasn't scared of death or injury or anything. I was very brave that way. But I gotta say, I've kind of regressed a little in my mindset in that sense ever since I got hit on my scooter.
Yeah.
I've been so scared of a lot of things. I'm even scared to go in the ocean these days. Like there's been a lot of fear. I think fear can ebb and flow with your age too, and recognizing where you're at in your life and what's valuable to you and what risks you're able to take comfortably, which ones are outside your comfort zone but maybe worth it, and then ones that are too far out your comfort zone and don't have enough reward, figuring out your risk kind of for yourself.
Tolerance.
Your risk tolerance.
Yeah, I mean, you start small. I mean, you start conquering your fear small. I mean, you're looking at, I know, like extreme sports and people that do like these crazy jumps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is not the first jump that they did. They
That's
did small jumps, then they got bigger jumps.
For years.
Yeah, exactly.
For years. And they built trust with themselves.
Exactly.
They build the muscle that they need and the tools they need to do that jump.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with investing or getting success. You've done, over 600 house flips? Of course, you're not going to be nervous to do another one. You've done it 600 times.
Exactly.
You've started X amount of businesses. Of course, you're not scared to start another one or lose X amount of money. You've built that tolerance. So do you think it's risk tolerance or do you think it's fear tolerance?
I think it's kind of like the same. I think part of the thing is that fear to me is something that is kind of like ethereal. So you kind of like, it's kind of little clouds of fear and stuff like that, and they're kind of bouncing around, and they're bigger, they're worse than you think.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Or you think they're worse than they are, something like that.
Worse than you think? Wait, no.
Yeah, they're worse than...
It's not as bad as you think.
Yes, that's right. Okay. So they're just there, and you're constantly bouncing, what if, like if I'm talking about real estate, what if the house goes on fire? And what if the tenant leaves? What if I can't get as much rent? What if the repairs more than I thought?
It's a lot of
what if this? And then it just keeps bouncing around like that. And the risk part of it, for me, it's more logical.
Yes,
so then
more analytical.
take these fears and then list them and say, okay, the house goes on fire. Oh, that's okay. I have insurance for that.
Yeah, and
this guy doesn't have as much rent and stuff like that. So, okay, well, I can do certain things,
or maybe run your numbers a little bit more.
I won't be able to. Yeah. So this goes. The rent is this much. That means that I'm going to have to sell the house a little bit cheaper or something like that. What does the number look like?
So
and kind of calculate.
Rationalizing your fears a little bit and actually assigning a real
they're not
solution.
bouncing around anymore, and then kind of like disturbing you and distracting you.
Yeah, it's like taking them from here, putting them here.
Yeah, it's making a list about everything. Like if you think about, I'm going to the grocery store, I have to buy 20 items. It's just like, okay, well, I have to get the milk, I have to get eggs,
Yeah,
and
write it down.
Now, if you write it down, you don't have to worry about it.
That's a really good point. What would we summarize that as?
I would say fear/risk.
Fear management.
Fear management or risk management.
Risk management, yeah. All right, well, looks like we've got our top 5 mindset.
The top 5 mindset superpowers
that you need to have to become a self-made multimillionaire like this guy. We have resiliency at number 1, keeping an open mind, open door to opportunities, having the right environment, asking questions, taking action, and then the last one that we just went over was fear management and rationalizing your fear.
That's
there you
go. Very good. Well, thank you for joining me.
Thanks
thank you for watching this video. As you know, I'm not making money doing these videos. I'm here to help you make more money. And this is something that you like too for your life. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. See you next time.